Hello everyone and welcome to our first online Kids Friday. We'll be starting a new series all about what God is like. You can watch these videos with your family at home every Friday during term time. We'll be discussing some questions together, looking at a Bible passage and praying together. There is also a craft that you can do at the end if you'd like to. To start off with, I'd love to know, if you could meet your favourite character, who would it be and why? You can pause the video and then press play again when you've come up with your answers. I hope you've had a good time chatting about your answers. I wonder who you'd like to meet. It could be someone with superpowers, or maybe a YouTube star, or maybe you'd want to spend some time with someone a little bit naughty, because it'd be fun to spend some time with them. Now, I've got another question for us to chat about. How would you describe what God is like? Again, pause the video and then chat about it together. I wonder what you think God is like. Today, we'll be starting by finding out how we know what God is like. Can you get out a Bible? It can be any Bible you have. I'll be using the International Children's Bible, but the verses will appear on screen, so don't worry too much if you don't have one. The passage we'll be looking at is Hebrews chapter 1. Hebrews chapter 1, verse 1. In the past, God spoke to our ancestors through the prophets. He spoke to them many times and in many different ways. As we read through the Old Testament, we find out that God spoke to his people through the prophets. They were like God's postmen. God gave them a message, and they gave God's message to his people. The people found out what God was like from the prophets. You probably know some stories about some of them. Moses was a prophet who God used to rescue his people and to warn Pharaoh of the danger of saying no to God. Jonah was a prophet who ran away when God sent him to warn the people of Nineveh to change. But God didn't just use prophets. God once spoke through a bush to explain to Moses what he was like. There was even a time when God spoke through a donkey to Balaam in Numbers 22. God invented talking donkeys. God spoke to his people at many times and in different ways. Let's read how the book of Hebrews carries on. And now, in these last days, God has spoken to us through his Son. God has chosen his Son to own all things, and he made the world through the Son. The Son reflects the glory of God. He is an exact copy of God's nature. The best way God spoke to his people and us was through his own Son, Jesus Christ. You see here it says, he is an exact copy of God's nature. Jesus is exactly God. When Jesus spoke, it was God himself speaking. When people listened to Jesus, they were listening to God himself. When they met Jesus, they were meeting God. As they got to know Jesus, they were getting to know God. If we want to know what God is like, we need to get to know Jesus Christ. And of course, to do that, we'll read the Bible. We can find out what God is like by reading about the prophets, but most of all by reading Jesus' words. We don't need to guess what God is like. We don't need to wonder what God is like. We can know what God is like by getting to know Jesus Christ. Now, I'd like you to chat about, why is Jesus better than the prophets in the Old Testament? And second question, how can Jesus help us to know what God is like? Why not after that pray together? Why don't you thank God that we can know what he is like above all by listening to what Jesus says and watching what he does? And why don't you pray that we would be listening to Jesus' words in the Bible?
Again, pause the video, chat about the questions, pray together, and then press play when you're ready to start.
Thank you so much for watching our first online Kids Friday. To finish off, there's a link below this video to a craft that Laura Leach, one of our church family members, has done for us. So why not watch that now? Thank you for watching, and don't forget to watch again next Friday. Have a good week. Bye.